On June 20th, 2026, the USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group completed a scheduled transit of the South China Sea as part of a freedom of navigation operation that, according to the Navy's public statement, proceeded without incident. Hold on to that phrase. Without incident. Because on the same day, according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, and corroborated by satellite imagery analysis published by Planet Labs, Chinese naval vessels operating in proximity to the Reagan's track were observed performing what analysts described as coordinated targeting acquisition maneuvers, specific movement patterns consistent with the active operation of over-the-horizon targeting radar systems linked to China's carrier-killer missile network. The Reagan transited. The Chinese ships did not fire, so Washington said without incident. But what actually happened is that the most powerful carrier strike group in the world transited a body of water while an adversary's kill chain was tracking it actively in real time. And the only reason nothing happened is that Beijing chose not to fire. That is not the same as America having a defense. Today, I am going to show you what that kill chain actually consists of, why America currently has no doctrine to defeat it, and why the distinction between nothing happened and we were safe is the most dangerous conflation in American strategic thinking right now. CNN is covering this transit as a show of American resolve. Fox is covering it as a deterrent success. The BBC is covering it as a routine freedom of navigation operation. They are all looking at the outcome and calling it the capability. The right question, the one that determines whether American naval power in the Pacific is a genuine deterrent or an increasingly expensive performance, or some twice, is this. What does deterrence mean when the country being deterred can, at the moment of its choosing, execute a strike sequence that the deterring force has no confirmed defense against? In the next 23 minutes, I am going to walk you through the Chinese integrated kill chain layer by layer, and I am going to be specific enough that you will be able to assess for yourself whether the strategic reassurances you hear from American officials are grounded in operational reality. I need you to understand one framework. I call it the integrated kill chain. And it is the most important military architecture development of the past 20 years that most people have never heard explained in operational terms. A kill chain in military doctrine is the sequence of functions required to execute a strike. Find the target, fix its location, track it, target it, engage it, assess the outcome. Every weapon system has a kill chain. What makes the Chinese kill chain in the Pacific categorically different from anything the United States Navy has previously faced is integration. Each function in China's kill chain is performed by a specialized redundant system, and all of those systems are digitally integrated into a single command and control architecture that can execute the entire sequence, from initial detection to missile impact in a time window measured in minutes rather than the hours or days that the kill chains of previous adversaries required. Okay? The kill chain is not a weapon, it is an architecture. And it is the architecture, not any individual system within it, that America currently has no confirmed doctrine to defeat. Does that make sense? The historical anchor here is the development of German Blitzkrieg doctrine in 1939 and 1940. The individual components of Blitzkrieg, tanks, aircraft, mobile artillery, motorized infantry, all existed in the French and British armies as well. What the Germans developed was an integration doctrine that allowed those components to work as a single coordinated system operating at a tempo that the adversary's command and control architecture could not respond to. France had tanks. France had aircraft. France did not have the integrated doctrine to use them at blitzkrieg tempo. The result was the fall of France in 6 weeks, despite material parity. China does not have military systems that individually exceed American capabilities in every category. China has developed an integration doctrine that may allow those systems to operate at a combined tempo and coverage that American Carrier Strike Group doctrine was not designed to defeat. The parallel is not perfect. It is instructive. Let me give you 5 pieces of evidence for exactly how the Chinese integrated kill chain functions and why it presents a specific challenge that American naval doctrine is structurally inadequate to address. Number 1, the over-the-horizon detection layer. The first function of the kill chain is detection at range, finding a carrier strike group while it is still far enough from Chinese territory to provide tactical warning and planning time. China has developed multiple redundant detection systems for this function. The first is the OTH-B, over-the-horizon backscatter, radar network that can detect surface vessels at ranges up to approximately 3,000 kilometers by bouncing radar signals off the ionosphere. 3,000 kilometers, not 3,000. This means a Chinese radar system can, in principle, detect and coarsely locate a carrier strike group operating almost anywhere in the Pacific Ocean west of Hawaii. The second detection layer is a constellation of reconnaissance satellites, the Yaogan series, that provides optical, radar, and electronic intelligence coverage of the Pacific with revisit rates estimated at approximately every 90 minutes. The third layer is a network of underwater acoustic monitoring systems in the South and East China Seas that can detect and classify surface and subsurface vessels at operationally relevant ranges. 3 redundant detection layers, each covering ranges that extend the detection horizon beyond what any single adversary system has previously achieved. The carrier strike group is found with high probability as soon as it enters the Western Pacific. Number 2, the precision location layer. Detection tells you approximately where a target is. Precision location tells you exactly where it is. With enough accuracy to target a moving surface vessel with a ballistic missile at ranges exceeding 1,000 kilometers. This is the technical breakthrough that is most discussed in defense analysis circles. The DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles, which China has deployed and publicly tested since 2010 and 2015 respectively, require terminal guidance updates to hit a moving target at those ranges. The precision location layer that provides those updates is a combination of targeting data from the reconnaissance satellite constellation, from maritime patrol aircraft, and from surface ships like the ones that were tracking the Reagan on June 20th. The surface ships performing targeting acquisition maneuvers are not weapons platforms. They are sensors in the kill chain's precision location function. They are the eyes that allow the missiles to see the target at the moment of terminal guidance. Remove the surface ships from the kill chain, and the anti-ship ballistic missiles become significantly less accurate against a moving target at maximum range. But removing those surface ships in peacetime before hostilities are declared is an act of war. The Reagan cannot sink the targeting ships that are painting it without starting the war it is supposed to be deterring. The kill chain is protected by the same rules of engagement that protect the target it is tracking. Let that sit for a moment. Number 3, the engagement layer. The DF-21D has a stated range of approximately 1,500 kilometers. The DF-26 extends that to approximately 4,000 kilometers. A maneuvering re-entry vehicle, the warhead, traveling at speeds in excess of Mach 10 during terminal phase. The terminal phase velocity, combined with the maneuvering capability, is specifically designed to defeat the Aegis missile defense system, which is the primary defense of the carrier strike group. Aegis was designed to engage aircraft and cruise missiles. Its engagement envelope against a Mach 10 maneuvering ballistic missile re-entry vehicle is a matter of ongoing technical dispute among defense analysts. The most authoritative unclassified analysis from the Union of Concerned Scientists and from the Congressional Budget Office concludes that Aegis has not been conclusively tested against the specific terminal phase parameters of the DF-21D and DF-26, and that the intercept probability against that class of target in a real-world engagement cannot be stated with confidence from public information. Cannot be stated with confidence, not America has a reliable defense. Cannot be stated with confidence. The cost ratio here is staggering. The DF-26 costs, by Chinese defense procurement estimates cited in Jane's Defense Weekly, approximately $60 to $70 million per missile. The USS Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier. It is designed to target cost $13 billion to build and carries a crew of approximately 5,000 people. Even at 1% hit probability per missile, a salvo of 30 missiles produces a statistically meaningful expected loss. The kill chain does not need to be certain. It needs to be credible, and it is credible. Number 4, the saturation design. The integrated kill chain is not designed to prosecute individual strikes. It is designed to saturate the carrier strike group's entire defensive envelope simultaneously across multiple weapons domains. The DF-21D and DF-26 provide the high-altitude ballistic track that Aegis must address. Simultaneously, the YJ-18 supersonic anti-ship cruise missile, with a range of approximately 540 kilometers and a terminal dash phase at Mach 3, provides a low-altitude track operating in the radar shadow below the Aegis engagement envelope. Simultaneously, the H-6 bomber, carrying up to 6 anti-ship cruise missiles, approaches from a third vector. Simultaneously, submarine-launched torpedoes and cruise missiles provide a fourth engagement axis from below. The defensive systems of a carrier strike group can engage targets in each of these domains individually. No existing American naval defensive doctrine has published a confirmed solution for simultaneous engagement across all 4 domains at the ranges and speeds the Chinese systems achieve. The Mosaic defense principle that Iran applies to its ground-based military infrastructure has a direct parallel in Chinese anti-carrier doctrine. The kill chain is distributed. The defense must be comprehensive. The offense needs only one path through, okay? Number 5, the command and control integration. This is the layer that distinguishes the Chinese integrated kill chain from a collection of individually capable weapon systems and makes it a coherent operational architecture. All of the systems I have described, OTH-B radar, reconnaissance satellites, acoustic monitoring, targeting acquisition ships, DF-21D and DF-26 launchers, YJ-18 batteries, H-6 bombers, submarines, are networked into a single command and control system that the PLA describes in its own doctrine publications as Integrated Network Electronic Warfare. The system is designed to execute the detect, fix, track, target, engage sequence with minimal human intervention at the execution stage, compressing the time between target identification and missile launch to a window in which the carrier strike group's decision cycle cannot respond. When a carrier task force commander receives warning that the kill chain has been activated, the engagement may already be in terminal phase. The decision time is not minutes. In the system's designed operational envelope, it may be seconds. The integration is the weapon. The individual systems are components. And the integration specifically targets the time advantage that human decision-making requires. Now let me give you the strongest possible argument against my framework. The Steelman, made by serious analysts at the Naval War College and at the RAND Corporation, goes like this. The Chinese integrated kill chain has never been operationally tested against a fully alert, fully capable American carrier strike group conducting active electronic countermeasures, electronic attack, active Aegis engagement, and coordinated strike operations against the kill chain sensor nodes simultaneously. The individual components have been tested separately in controlled environments. The integration has been tested in exercises, but exercises are not combat. The counterargument holds that the American carrier strike group's offensive capability, specifically the ability to conduct standoff strikes against the targeting ships, the OTH radar installations, the airfields hosting H-6 bombers, and the known launch sites of DF-21D and DF-26, constitutes a kill chain defeat mechanism that operates before the Chinese kill chain can execute. If the American strike group can blind the kill chain sensors before the engagement sequence initiates, the missiles cannot find the target. The kill chain, in this reading, is defeatable by suppression of its sensor layer. That's a serious argument, but here is what it cannot explain. The sensor suppression argument requires striking Chinese territory, OTH radar installations on Chinese soil, airfields hosting H-6 bombers on Chinese soil before China has fired a shot against an American vessel. That is a first strike on Chinese territory in a confrontation that began as a deterrence operation. The political, legal, and escalation costs of that first strike may exceed the military benefit of disrupting the kill chain, depending on the specific context and the specific crisis that generated the confrontation. And the Steelman cannot explain why the targeting ships performing acquisition maneuvers on June 20th were allowed to track the Reagan without any American response. If the kill chain sensor layer can be suppressed, the moment to suppress it is during the tracking operation. The Reagan transited without suppressing the targeting ships, because suppressing them in peacetime starts a war. The kill chain sensor layer is protected by the same deterrence logic that the kill chain itself is intended to defeat. Here is the synthesis. The integrated kill chain is a strategic challenge, not because it makes American carriers impossible to defend. It may or may not, and that uncertainty itself is part of the challenge. It is a strategic challenge because it makes the political and tactical cost of defending American carriers potentially higher than the political and tactical cost of not operating them in the contested zone. when a carrier strike group transiting the South China Sea is being actively tracked by a kill chain that cannot be suppressed without starting a war, and when the defensive capability against that kill chain cannot be stated with confidence, the carrier has shifted from being a deterrent to being a target that needs its own deterrent. That inversion from deterrent to target is the strategic consequence that the June 20th transit illustrates and that the phrase "without incident" carefully obscures. The patient giant collecting the winnings. China is not a third party in this story. China is the protagonist, but the patient giant behind China, studying every revelation about the kill chain with intense interest, is Russia. Moscow has been sharing the technical parameters of Russian hypersonic missile development with Chinese counterparts through the bilateral military cooperation framework established in the 2019 Treaty of Good Neighborliness. Each system, each integration lesson, each American response pattern observed from the Reagan's transit informs Russian planning for a potential European contingency. The patient giant in this story is watching itself. And behind Russia, Iran takes notes on what a kill chain architecture can do to a carrier, because the Strait of Hormuz scenario in any future escalation will involve exactly this question. 3 things to watch in the next 48 to 72 hours. First, watch for any Pentagon announcement about modifications to carrier strike group composition or operating procedures in the Western Pacific. Any change, additional destroyers, different electronic warfare configurations, modified operating areas, would indicate that the June 20th tracking event generated an internal assessment that current doctrine is insufficient. Second, watch the CSIS Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative's next satellite imagery update. If the Chinese targeting acquisition ships that track the Reagan remain in pattern after the transit concludes, it means they are running continuous kill chain readiness operations rather than event-specific responses. Third, watch whether Taiwan responds to the Reagan transit with any public statement about its own defensive preparations. Taiwanese military publicly acknowledges the kill chain threat more directly than American officials typically do. Their statements are sometimes more analytically candid about what the transit actually demonstrated. Your homework: go find the Congressional Budget Office's most recent analysis of Aegis missile defense capability, available at CBO Governs. Then find the RAND Corporation's report on Chinese anti-access area denial capabilities in the Pacific. Put them side by side. Look for whether the Aegis capability statement in Document 1 addresses the specific terminal phase parameters of the DF-21D and DF-26 described in Document 2. The gap between those two documents, if it exists, is the gap between the public deterrence claim and the operational reality. Prove me wrong in the comments. Show me the public evidence that Aegis has a confirmed intercept capability against Mach 10 maneuvering re-entry vehicles. I genuinely want to see that evidence if it exists. Here is the question I want to leave you with. If the strategic value of an aircraft carrier depends on the credibility of its defensive capability, and if that credibility cannot be confirmed without an engagement that neither side wants to initiate, have we built a deterrent or have we built a very expensive hypothesis? I will see you in the next one.